I know trauma is a real big word to use, yet trauma is the reactions that we have. Trauma is an event, yet the reality of it is that most of us have gone through many things in our lifetime. Trauma is, when you hear the word trauma, I think a lot of times everybody believes that it's, you think of a car accident, or you think of 9/11, or you think of sexual abuse. Yet those are what we call big T's. Big T's are the event. Little T's are abandonment, bullying, things of that nature. Trauma needs to be treated due to the fact of a lot of times, especially with substance abuse clients, we don't know how to react. Our reaction to the event that happens gets pushed inside of us, and a lot of our clients that we deal with here at Ambrosia, they've used substances to deal with that feeling. So here, especially in this room, I help the client deal with what I call is the trauma. The trauma could be anything from being adopted, feeling abandoned, a sexual abuse, a physical abuse. It's their story. It's their perception of their story. The baseline mostly for trauma is the feeling of being abandoned or an attachment disorder, things of that nature. For me, I know from a personal standpoint and from clients that I've worked with, it's the black hole. I call it the black hole that we feel inside of our heart. A lot of times when I deal with a client that walks in this room, one of the first things that I ask them is how many times they've been in treatment or how many times they've gotten so far being in recovery. The relapse recidivism rate for addicts and alcoholics, they've always gotten to a certain point in their life and they end up continuing to use. And there's always a story. So I always take them all the way back to their childhood and what they felt and what they dealt with as their childhood. There's a belief system that I go to and I look at for them. I use a certain instrument, it's called the genogram, and what they looked at when they were being raised and what they saw in their childhood. My reality is, and when I listen to the client, is their perception of their childhood and what they saw and what they felt. One of the first things, and I always hear from the clients, is what they dealt and how they felt with maybe as a loss, a parent dying or a divorce, and how they felt lost or abandoned. And that's the beginning of what I call the black hole. How they ended up going through their life and how they perceive that, and they continue to go through their lives and what I call the betrayal bond. They betrayed themselves and they continue doing this by using drugs. And they go through their life feeling lost and scared and abandoned, and how they coped with that is by using drugs and or other process addictions, meaning sex, love, shopping, gambling, and they end up coming into treatment, and we address them here at Ambrosia, of course, with their substance abuse. Yet once we address their substance abuse with a 12-step program, when they come into this room here, I help them weave their 12 steps and looking at their core issue, meaning that black hole. What am I missing? Who am I? And how do I stop betraying myself? I've been many teachers. I was trained as a certified trauma therapist, and through my own training as a certified trauma therapist, I was able to learn for myself also certain traumas that I've been through in my life, that I was able to be enlightened on small traumas that my perception brought me through in my own recovery process, which I've been able to play forward with working with clients here and doing certain things even for the staff here, and certain assignments that I give the clients here. And the first assignment that I always give every client is a safe place. And why that's so important is to teach the client, especially if they've been diagnosed with depression or anxiety, they've always self-medicated here with their Valium or their marijuana, their cocaine, or however they wanted to self-medicate here, how to meditate, how to take their brain into a place of feeling safe. So their first assignment here is to actually develop a place where they have felt safe in their life. Now, if they've never been safe, let's say they've had a horrible dysfunctional family system where they've been beaten, they can fantasize and find a safe place. Some clients actually have this room as being their safe place. That's why you'll see in this room there's teddy bears, there's drums, there's flutes, there's art material in this room. They can imagine a safe place, because as children you can always go back into an imagination and find a safe place. After they've developed a safe place, I help them and educate them on meditation, deep breathing. I do a breathwork course with them here. Once they've developed a safe place, their next assignments through the course of being here in the trauma track here, they learn how to change their thought patterns. And some of the work that we do in this room is actually what I call the trauma, well, I don't call it, but I was taught, it's called the trauma egg. And that was developed by Patrick Carnes from the Betrayal Bond book. That was very well known. And through the trauma egg, we are able to find their patterns. They start to list and go through their minds and their life of how many traumas they've been through in their life. And as they start to write down their traumas, you can actually visualize, and the client is actually able to see different traumas that they've been through in their life. They experience the trauma. We actually talk about the story of the trauma, how they actually lived through the trauma all the way up until they've come here into Ambrosia. We process the traumas here through the trauma egg. I also refer the client into EMDR with Dr. Keller here, and Dr. Keller and I work hand in hand together here as we move through the trauma and actually close up some of the traumas. EMDR is another modality of therapy that we use here, alongside with some yoga, acupuncture, exercise, nutrition, things of that nature here at Ambrosia. So we use a multidisciplinary team here, so we kind of use all of it together to work through some of these traumas. After the trauma egg is done, I ask, or I implement a request that the client actually does an angel egg afterwards. And the angel egg is a symbol of all of the qualities that the client has that are good. All of the qualities that the client has achieved. So, in other words, they have the yin and the yang. They have all the things that they've been through that was so horrific in their life. Yet, by the time they finish here, they have all of the things they've actually accomplished.